It's official. The very people who put Joe Biden into power are now turning their backs on him. After ignoring his decline, they're finally reporting what we've been saying for years. The New York Times just put out this piece saying Biden's lapses are said to be increasingly common and worrisome. The Times says that in the months leading up to the debate, several current and former officials and others who encountered him behind closed doors noticed that increasingly he appeared confused or listless or would lose the thread of conversations. So now they're changing their tune on the hoaxes they've been using to prop up Joe Biden. Less than 2 weeks ago, the New York Times wrote about cheap fakes, videos they said were clearly manipulated to make him look old and confused, while others cut him out of vital context to portray him in a negative light. It's not what they're saying anymore, though. The Times now admitting, as evidenced by video footage, Mr. Biden is not the same today as he was when he took office 3.5 years ago. The recent moments of disorientation generated concern among advisors and allies alike. They went from telling you not to believe your eyes to asking you to open your eyes wider. Mollie Hemingway is the editor-in-chief of The Federalist. You know, Mollie, I know it sounds like the obvious point to make, but sometimes you just have to hammer the obvious point. How can or should any of these people or any of these institutions ever be trusted on any subject?
That's exactly the main takeaway that people should have from what we've witnessed in the last week. As you note, hours before last week's debate, you had many members in corporate media claiming that stories and video evidence of Joe Biden's problems with senility and mental acuity were a conspiracy theory, that they were misinformation and disinformation. They aren't telling the truth now. All that's happened is that our media are worried about their ability to drag Joe Biden across the finish line in November. And so now they are, yes, telling some accurate things about Joe Biden's mental situation, but it's not because they're truth tellers. It's because they seek power and they realize that the task has become too difficult with Joe Biden at the head of the party.
And it makes me wonder, Mollie, I think any of us that do this for a living want this thing that we do for a living to be better than the sick state it's in today, media, right? And so you do wonder, well, will the public ever understand, if they're willing to go to these extents to lie on the capacity of the leader of the free world, won't they go to these same lengths on any other number of subjects and the public open their eyes about the media?
Right. People have been talking about pretty serious media bias, since the 60s even. In the 80s, it was a big deal. What we've seen in the last 6 to 8 years goes well beyond bias into outright propaganda and lying on behalf of political allies and against political opponents. It's not just that they lied about Joe Biden's situation because they worried that if they were to tell the truth that it might help Republicans. It's that they lie about every single issue of importance, and they've been doing it for years. They're doing it now, and they're going to do it in the future. And so Americans who care about their country, who are worried about the situation that we're in because of these media lies, should be thinking long and hard about whether to take anything they say with any degree of trust, barring other evidence. And I just want to point out, if what they were saying is true right now, and if they're really concerned about Joe Biden's mental acuity, why aren't their stories focused on the fact that he's currently the sitting president, instead of just that they're worried that he's currently the nominee for the 2024 election? I mean, to overstate the obvious, if he can't run for president, he can't be president for the next 7 months. He can't be in charge of our military. He can't, we've got a very delicate global situation, and yet the media are just focused on the political horse race because that's what they care about, political power, not the country's well-being.
Absolutely. They're ready to tell this truth, not because they're concerned about the country, but they're concerned about their ability to win, about their ability to retain power. Mollie Hemingway, always great to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.